Cloud services don't always refer to public providers or using the public internet. There is another type of cloud service, and this is what's known as the private cloud deployment model. And with this, the cloud services and everything to do with it, all of the infrastructure, is owned by a single organization. That infrastructure can be located on or off site, depending on how that organization is physically organized. So, an example of this might be a very large company that has, let's say, we'll call it a headquarters, and with that, they might have a data center. All of the IT infrastructure for the entire organization may reside in that headquarters or the organization. Then there might be multiple locations or branches all over the place. They could be anywhere around the world. Each of those separate branches or separate offices might then access all of the services that they require from the corporate headquarters. So it's the exact same model as a public cloud, but it's all owned and maintained by the single private organization. So this enables that organization to simply centralize access to all of the IT resources. There still might be different parts, locations, or departments as mentioned, but it allows you to control everything from a single and centralized location. So administration of the private cloud environment might be carried out still by internal employees, but you could also then outsource that to a third party if you decide to. But that, of course, is up to you. Now, one of the main reasons why you might see this is changing what's called security or trust boundaries. The same organization is technically both the cloud consumer and the provider. So you do see a bit of a separation of roles here between the provider and the consumer. But with respect to cloud services, a private cloud still is maintained by the single organization. So security and trust can be an issue if you are looking at a public cloud model because you are, for example, storing data with a third party company and it's not even physically located within your own organization. That may be an issue for a lot of different companies or customers. They may not be able to do that. So, by implementing a private cloud deployment model, they are still maintaining control over that data, that information, the security, and the trust boundary stays within the organization. Now, there is certainly a drawback to this. There's minimal cost efficiencies associated with this. You still have to acquire all the physical hardware. You still have to implement everything. You still have to maintain it and upgrade it and things like that. So you don't quite get the cost effectiveness of a public cloud environment. But in terms of benefit, you get that enhanced security. All of the computing resources, for example, are behind a corporate firewall. So you're just removing that third party. And as mentioned earlier, that can be a barrier to some organizations. They simply cannot store data or run an application or do anything outside of their own control. So you certainly get the greater control, the greater security, might not be as cost effective, but you need to weigh those out in terms of whether or not a private versus a public cloud is going to suit your needs.